In this video I'm going to show you how you can make this personalised 3-leaf Celtic knot pendant with this Voronoi pattern in 3 of the leaves. So you can personalise it by putting any character of the alphabet in the centre of the pendant. As you can see here, we've got the letter A. So we're going to use Fluid Designer for 3D printing, and if I just click Group Library, that'll just refresh this file list for me here. I'm going to use a Harrington font as the text in the middle there, so I'm just going to use this letter A. And I'm also going to use a pattern, and it's the Voronoi patterns that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use this Inkscape Voronoi circular pattern 002. And what I'm going to do is add that to a Celtic knot pattern. So if I go to the Pendants folder, and if I just scroll down, I'm looking for Celtic knot patterns, and these are available under our jewellery design software. So there are a number of different Celtic knot patterns that are available. Oops, I've opened the wrong one there. Let me just do that again. I want the 3-leaf one. Now there are 2 3-leaf ones available. There's a 3-dimensional one, and then there's this kind of flat style, and I'm going to use the flat style. So I just drag and drop that onto the workspace. So what I want to do now is, well, first thing I want to do is to actually scale it up a little bit, because this is actually only 1 centimetre across, and that's quite small for what we're going to do here. So I'm going to scale it up, and I'll just switch on screencast keys, so you should be able to see key presses I make down here. So if I press S on the keyboard for scale, and if I enter in the value 2 and then press the enter key, always when you're scaling Fluid Designer, always do Control A and apply the scale, and notice the thickness resets. The thickness at the moment is determined by this bevel object over here. So it's got a cross section of 1 millimetre, so in other words this is 1 millimetre thick, and that's important to know when you're 3D printing. Now if I go to View and Top View, I'm going to add in the Voronoi pattern now. So I showed you that in the panel over here. So it's the Voronoi pattern that I'm going to use, and I'm going to use, I think it's the second one. I'm going to use this one here. The others have got a bit too much detail for such a small size here. So I want Patterns Voronoi Inkscape Circular Pattern 002. And what I do is I need to append that. So I go to File and Append. Just go up through the menu system until you get to the Groups folder. That's where all the folders are with the patterns in. And we want Voronoi Patterns Circular Pattern 002. And we always append the object. So I click Append that from the library. Okay, so if I select that object, and I clearly need to scale it down if I want to fit it in these leaves here. Now this is also a parametric smart object, so if I press S on the keyboard for scale, just bring it down in size. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, and then you must always again do Control A and then apply the scale, and you'll see the thickness is applied again there. Now it depends on which pattern you want to choose to do this. I'm going to perhaps move it over to there, and I'll position it like that, and I'm going to work in this top right hand corner here now. And so what I need to do is I need to delete parts of this. Well, if I press the Tab key to go into edit mode, I'll be able to delete the circle going around the object by holding down the Shift key and highlighting the 9 control points around there. That's the last one, I think. And then if I press X on the keyboard and delete those vertices, you can see I can delete the circle around my pattern. Now clearly I want to delete quite a few control points on this side, so if I press C on the keyboard and just do circle select, I can highlight quite a few control points there in one go. I think I might have highlighted too many there, so let me just go back in. I don't want to delete this object here, so I want to deselect those ones. Alright, I'll try X on the keyboard and delete that. Yeah, it's taken out that bit there, so let me just do Control and Z. And let me just start that again. I don't want to delete that particular one, so C on the keyboard. I'll go round here, be a bit more careful this time. Should be okay to delete all of these over here. Right, so X on the keyboard and delete those vertices. That's a little bit better. I can delete that one. Now you do have to play around in here a little bit. Now if I highlight that control point there, I want to move it over here. So G. Now proportional editing is on at the moment. So if I press O to switch off proportional editing, and G. Alright, let me switch off the snap as well. Maybe it's the snap that's causing the problem. There's a couple of control points there, I think. So let's move that one. G to move that one. I can delete that particular vertices. And G to move... Oops, no, there's another vertices there. G to move that one. There we are. I can see a couple of extra vertices down here, which I can delete. You can see the thickness is not quite right there, so we do need to change something in a second. I'll just go to View and Top View. I'm going to delete these vertices here, so I'll hold down the Shift key and delete those. And I can delete a few of those ones there. So you've just got to work your way in and delete these. Anything you spot, delete. There's a few extra ones in the middle of the screen here. And okay, now I'm probably going to delete this section here. So I'm going to delete that segment, I think, and then delete that vertices, and that vertices, and that vertices, and that vertices. Okay, I don't seem to be able to delete that one. Let me just grab it, maybe put it around there. And delete that one, yep. Excuse me. Now these ones over here, I need to pull them in. But I think before I do that, what I need to do, I'll just come out of edit mode. I'm going to change the thickness of this so that it's the same as the Voronoi pattern. And I can do that by highlighting the Celtic knot pattern. And over here, I need to change the bevel object from cross-section diameter of 1 to 1 by 2. And you see that that's the same thickness now as my Voronoi pattern, so things look a little bit more sensible now. And so if I just go back to go back to my Voronoi pattern and just zoom in, I'll just grab that one and move that one in a bit. Grab that one, so I'm just pressing G on the keyboard to grab and moving it in, and G on the keyboard. So that wants to be kind of in the middle there. Okay, so that's looking quite nice. And I want to do the same up here, so click on the control point and G to grab. Just reposition it. G to grab. Okay, now I've got probably too many control points here. I'll just pull this one down a bit. And G and pull that one down. And then that one will fit now there. Okay, it's looking alright. Now I'm a little bit worried about what's happening over here because I've got an extra point there, so I'm just going to delete that vertices. Yeah, that's okay, it's deleted it, and that's looking fine now. I think the only thing that's looking a little bit strange is this one at the end here. It looks like the Z value is not quite at 0, so if I just type in 0 there, you notice that just brought that down. So the Z value got displaced slightly there. Okay, so there's my pattern. And you do need to look around and make sure there aren't any gaps there. Now what I want to do is I want to replicate this pattern. So if I go to View and Top View, I need to put the origin of this. So if I go to Tools, Object Tools, if I put the origin at the cursor, this will move to the cursor position, so you need to do that first. So origin tools, origin to the cursor, so you can see it's jumped to the cursor there. And then I've actually already got an angular object on here. That's actually just an empty, which I'm going to rotate my Voronoi pattern around. So if I select my Voronoi pattern, I need to go to modifiers, and I'm going to use an array modifier. But I want to, I don't want to do a relative offset, I want to do an object offset about the angular rotation. So I'm rotating it about this object here, and I can switch that off, and I want 3 of them. Now that's not working at the moment. So why is it not working? Well, yeah, all those are zeros there. So if I just check the angular rotation, that's at 60 at the moment. If I change that to 120 degrees, yeah, so what I'm doing there is I'm taking the Voronoi pattern, rotating it about this empty in the middle at an angle of 120 degrees, and 3 times 120 degrees is 360. That will put the pattern nicely in those positions there. So if I go to top view now I want to sort of personalize it, and I'm going to just put the letter A in the center here from the Harrington fonts. So if I just go to File and Append, just go up through the menu system until you get to the Groups folder, and you know, you can obviously add any pattern in the middle here, but I'm going to personalize it. Harrington font, I'm going to use a capital letter A, and that object, Harrington font A, and append that from the library. Now this is also a parametric smart object, so what I need to do is to scale it down. So S on the keyboard, scale it down so that it's going to fit in the center there. And always remember to do Control A and apply the scale, and notice the thickness will reset. My snap is off, so I can just move that around there and position it. Perhaps I'll just scale it down a little bit more. Control A and apply the scale. Okay, so that's it. So I've got my Voronoi pattern, I've got my Celtic knot, and I've got my Harrington font. Now, it's a good idea at this stage to actually join everything together, but because this has got a modifier, you do really need to apply that modifier, and I can do that by going Tools, Object Tools, and converting that to a mesh. And I can do the same with a Celtic knot, convert it to a mesh. Normally I would join the curves together, but not in this instance because of the modifier. So I convert that to a mesh, and if you just hold down the Shift key, the letter A is highlighted. I've just clicked on the Voronoi pattern, and if I click on the Celtic knot pattern, I can join those all together now. And because these were parametric smart objects, I'm pretty confident that if I export this as a wavefront object, I tend to do it to the desktop. I saved it earlier as a personalized Inkscape Voronoi Celtic knot with 3 leaves. That's the name that I called it. And I can assure you that I've saved this before, run it through Netfab Basic, uploaded it to Shapeways where you can actually see this object, and as such, you know, it is 3D printable. So yeah, the only thing is you need to do is you do always need to go to Netfab Basic, and you can see it looks a bit weird in Netfab Basic here because of all of these curves that are used for the Voronoi pattern, but as long as you run it through the Netfab, it will repair it for you, and then you'll have an object that's a file that's 3D printable. So good luck in creating your own. Thank you.